next comic is very special to us. During the pandemic, which was really, really tough on comedy, our next comic did more probably for anybody that I know to keep comedy going, running a club, and just getting everyone involved. And we're really, really honored to have him here. He's originally from Boulder, Colorado. Please welcome to the stage, Joshua Snyder.
Oh. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you. Good. Exactly. See, this is my biggest nightmare. All right, there we go. I did it. Is it? And it's on. All right, good. Fantastic. That's exactly what I'm like when I'm having sex with someone, by the way. What that same awkwardness right there, which has not happened to me a lot. I didn't lose my virginity until I was 32, and I like to start my conversations like that. So that you know what you're getting into with me. Like, I don't have to tell you now that I'm up to date on my Star Trek. You know that. It's clear. And so as somebody who doesn't have a lot of sex, when the government said a year ago you need to keep 6 feet away from people, I was like, I can make it 12. It's cool. My life has not changed. Like right before the show, someone was like, yeah, I think this is the first gathering I've been to in a year. And I'm like, yeah, me too. Yeah, was something happen? So people ask me, well, why did it take you so long? And I love when they ask me that because you're assuming it was a choice. People ask, did I wait for religious reasons? And the answer is yes, there is no God. It took me so long because I'm afraid to open myself up emotionally to people. One-on-one, I seem to have no problem talking about this in front of complete strangers, which is odd. I have a different fear response system in my brain. I think the rest of you would see a shark and go, oh my God, a shark. And I would go, oh, is there chlorine in that water? I'm screwed up like that. And I want to say, by the way, that I regret not trying harder. If I could go back in time, I would have tried a little harder. I would have asked, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 people, in the 15 years since the balls dropped and I was able to. And I encourage you, if any of you want to ask someone out tonight, by the way, that's, if anyone needs medical attention, let them know. If any of you want to ask someone out tonight, do it. Do it right after the show. Because I heard this quote that said, that if you go through life trying to avoid getting your heart broken, it will only break from loneliness anyway. So ask someone out tonight. And if you do, and you get laid tonight, it will be because of a quote from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I don't think I need to tell you that I'm Jewish. Pretty clear. As my dad would say, I have the map of Israel on my face. And I don't have a choice in this, like, because of this face. And I had a friend of mine who said, well, you're not Jewish because Judaism is a religion and not a race. Guys, my face doesn't look this way because I pray hard. Judaism is many things. It's a religion, it is a race, it is a mental condition. We don't get a vaccine for this. The other problem is I have a face that makes it seem like I know a lot about Judaism. So I am, to some people, a Jewpedia. And I get lovely questions. One of my favorites is somebody asked me, is it true that Jews are not allowed inside of a Red Lobster? And I should have just told him, yeah, it's true. If a Jew goes into a Red Lobster, a rabbi will come down from the ceiling like Batman. I think he got that idea because lobster is not kosher. And there's kosher law. There's Jews that things are not allowed to eat because it would give us too much joy. And lobster is one of those things. Another great question, one of my favorite questions I ever got. A friend of mine asked me once, "Are you an orthopedic Jew?" I think he meant Orthodox Jew. Orthopedic Jew is a Jew that knows about feet, I think. This was fun. This was good. Hopefully this is safe. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Until it isn't. That's what I feel like the messaging has been. You don't need the masks. You're fine. You're good. Until you do. Where did it go? I have a social media handle. It's @nerdyvirgin. I encourage you to follow me. I have friends who are like, well, since you've had sex now 4 times, you shouldn't use that handle anymore because you're no longer a virgin. And I would say to them, for the number of times I've watched Star Trek The Next Generation, I will always be a virgin. You can take Josh out of virginity. You will never take virginity out of Josh. You guys have been great. Our next comic coming to the stage, I am originally from Boston, Massachusetts. Please keep it going for Alexander Malt. I don't know, everyone knows. Okay, so that was me at a backyard show last week, produced by the incomparable Alexander Malt. And I don't know, I've been since live shows have been so few and far between, I've had this impulse to just record them and then throw them up here on the podcast. And I think I had a strong opening and kind of a weak closing. Ooh, look at this director's commentary. I can rip myself apart. What keeps happening whenever I get up live is, even though I've been doing Zoom every night, when I get up and do a live show lately, my head just kind of goes blank sometimes, and that happened in this set. There was a moment in the middle where my head just kind of, and it's, I don't know, maybe it's stage fright. It doesn't feel like it's stage fright so much as, actually, maybe it was. I think I remember the exact moment. I was like, oh, I'm doing well. And then as soon as I thought to myself, I'm doing well, I totally didn't know what to do next. I should have stayed in the pocket, but then I watched myself being in the pocket, and that immediately got me out of the pocket. And that's Zen Buddhism. Zen Buddhism. So I've been trying to do 1-hour podcasts, and I recorded one yesterday that I'm debating whether or not to release because I was so tired. I fell asleep, or I almost fell asleep twice while recording the podcast. And I just don't know if that's something that should go out into the public. Although now that I'm talking about it, maybe it would be good to document my decline. How else am I doing? Well, irritable bowel is been acting up again. And I went on a website that talked about the foods that aggravate irritable bowel syndrome, which include apples, chocolate, caffeine, and all of those things I was eating on a daily basis. So, starting yesterday, I cut out caffeine. I cut out the chocolate. I tried to eat foods that are not trigger foods. And lo and behold, I felt a little bit better. And no, actually, I felt much better. And this morning, I feel kind of bad again. So I can't tell if this is a combination of irritable bowel and maybe an ulcer or acid reflux and prostatitis and epididymitis. Just everything south of my belly button is just a mess. That's what's happening at this point. I can't tell where the symptoms of one end and the symptoms of another begin. It's never been good down there. When I was growing up, I always had bowel issues when I was growing up, from the beginning. So I'm really trying to regulate my diet. Speaking of from the beginning, I actually, for the first time in years, I decided I'm going to try to, not have every meal out and try to eat in a little bit more. And I have been, for breakfast, going to Starbucks, getting my hot tea and my protein box, which consists of a peanut butter jelly sandwich, chocolate covered raisins. There's the chocolate. The caffeine I already mentioned was in the tea. The bread, I believe, is a whole wheat bread. And there were carrots and apples. So 9 out of 10 things of what I just said are causing the irritable bowel potentially to trigger. So I went to the store today, and I thought I'm going to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the morning. And I actually got the bread and the jelly that I used to get when I was eating it at home before I went to college. And it was, I'm curious to see if my body can handle the bread now, because I think it's gotten worse. I haven't been able to handle as much. The foods I used to be able to handle when I was younger. Now I just can't. So we'll see if this bread hits me or if it doesn't. But it is the Oro wheat oat nut bread. And just looking at it and tasting it, I thought it would bring back memories of growing up. And when I ate it, I found that it really didn't. I went, oh, I kind of remember how this tastes. But I'm still me, and it's still 2021. So I was hoping it would open up a portal to a universe of nostalgia. And instead, I didn't really go anywhere. It didn't. No portal was opened. I just kind of sat there and ate the sandwich, and it was fine. But I didn't experience that nostalgia. I also I went into Ralph's to do this, and Seinfeld has a great bit about going into the supermarket, and it is still true. And I almost feel like, as a comedian, I should just get up on stage, say, hey guys, remember Seinfeld talking about supermarkets? Yeah, that's still true. Thank you very much. And that's all I should need to do. Why go on? He's covered everything. But I walk in, and I mean, it's just so, I'm bombarded with all of this stuff. And the only way that I'm going to get past this is I have to go to the same supermarket over and over again so I know where everything is, so I can walk in, get it, walk out. But because I have not been to a supermarket in years, I had to hunt for the bread. Fortunately, they put the peanut butter in the jelly, or rather almond butter. I did get the almond butter. I was getting a little annoyed because there was all these different like there's cinnamon almond butter with honey, and almond butter with the tears of Stevie Nicks. I mean, just all these weird almond butters that I don't need. I just need regular almond butter, which they then had. And then I felt like I was almost excited if they didn't have regular almond butter, because I thought this could be a new bit. And then Seinfeld walked up and went, I've done it already. And I went, all right. Which reminds me of, I think, wasn't there a South Park episode where they kept saying, the Simpsons did it, Simpsons did it. That's what it's beginning to feel like for me. Went to the self-checkout, paid $1 for a bag, which now I feel like I want to keep this plastic bag. I paid $1 for it. supposed to bring my own bags. That's the world we live in. Trying to say, what's the deal with that? Doggone it, it's been done. I think I am going to use that podcast, because then I can use this podcast, and then I will have 2 podcasts. And then I will be 2 days ahead as opposed to 1 day ahead. Won't that be fantastic? Won't that be fantastic? I think it will be fantastic. Won't you? I really do think it will be fantastic. The other thing I realized is that, I could just, instead of trying to record a whole hour at once, I could just record bits and pieces and stitch it together as an hour and then release that. Who's going to know the difference? I'll know. Seinfeld. I'll know. Uh-oh. Well, I think I kicked out there for a second. Very strange. All right, is this working better? So, right at the point where I said I'm going to kick out, suddenly my earbuds dropped out. Sorry, AirPods, not earbuds. Doggone it. You know what I mean. You know what I mean, America. But we're going to keep going. Oh, they dropped out again. I think they dropped out again. Did they drop out again? I'm seeing that I'm recording. I'm seeing sound being. All right, I think it's okay. This is very unnerving. I want to be able to trust these AirPods. But I don't know if I can. Who are you giving the assignment to, sir? The AirPods. Are you insane, sir? You know what happened on Altair 4. You know what happened during the Jenkins mission. They dropped the ball. They dropped the signal. They shouldn't even be in the service. Try to calm yourself, Ensign. The AirPods are the only ones who can do this. They've got to go in and involve themselves in a situation where there can't be any cords. I don't know what voice that is, but I love it. It's not even that much of a change of voice. But it's this kind of voice. It's talking to the front of my mouth, which I feel like is somebody cool and somebody who's confident and assured. So assured that they talk in the front of their mouth. As opposed to talking in the back of their mouth, which is much more quiet and, well, I do think that I have heard stories about the AirPods and how occasionally they will drop out. Could be a battery issue. I'll tell you what's not a battery issue. Your mom. So maybe that's what's happening. This is me just experimenting with different voices. And I feel like I always go back and I listen to these voices, and they always pretty much just sound like me, but a little bit different. But not different enough for me to be a major voice actor. Not enough. Well, sometimes to be a major voice actor, you gotta have a lot more, gotta be able to impersonate people and have a lot more range. Yeah, I so wish I could do impersonations. I can do bad impersonations. The way I do the impersonation is I call out what it is and then I do it, and then people are like, "Yeah, that's terrible," and we all laugh. We all laugh at my expense. Like, I don't know. Let's see. Can I do Tom Hanks? Tom Hanks? What? Buzz Lightyear? Remotely Tom Hanks. But it's so. I'm doing Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks. That is not remotely Tom Hanks, my friends. There's no crying in baseball. See why I'm not an impressionist? Do you see why I'm not an impressionist? Okay, I'm going to finish this podcast without using the AirPods because I think they kept cutting in and out, or whenever I yelled, they would get tentative. So now I'm just going to hold the phone close to my face, and I just need to modulate, make sure I don't scream too much, because if I scream, then it blows it out. I need to get a better microphone. I recognize this. You really should get a better microphone, because when you keep using these microphones really aren't designed to handle the kind of audio podcasting that you're looking to do. So you really should get a different microphone. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, and it's no problem. I enjoy wearing short sleeve button up shirts with pocket protectors. And I think that the Apollo mission has got a lot of potential. That's what I think of whenever I think of that voice. They were the guys where I see footage from the 1960s where they're interviewing an engineer. That's what they sound like to me. There's a second stage rocket would detach 37 seconds into the burn, and all the calculations look good, and it'd be truly fantastic. And afterwards, I would go home and make love to my wife, and I would say, yes, oh my God, I'm there, yes, it's beautiful, you're beautiful, life is beautiful. So yeah, I guess I can do that. I guess I can add that to my resume. Does bad impersonations of 1960s structural engineers. That was the skill you didn't know you needed until the day you needed it. I'm putting my earbuds back in the holder. I don't know, maybe it happened again. I keep cutting out. This is going to be the most starting and stopping. Why does it keep cutting out like that? Why does it do that? What's going on? Talk to me. I think it cut out because I was putting away my AirPods, and my phone tried to pick up. Oh, are you putting them back in? No, you're just taking them out. Okay. Great. Fantastic. I need to get a better microphone for this. I recognize this. I understand this, children. I understand this. I don't currently have any advertisers, but I would like to. So until I get sponsors who are actually paying me, which may never happen, but then again, I can have hope. Then I want to have my own sponsors. So how about Miller's Wheat Bread? When you taste the wheat bread, you'll kind of remember what it was like to sort of grow up. Miller's Wheat Bread. It's good bread, and it kind of reminds you of the bread of your youth. Listen, it's a quality product bread, and you'll kind of remember growing up, but it won't be enough for you to still to get out of your sadness. It won't help you get out of your depression, but you'll have a good sandwich. Miller's Wheat Bread. Miller's Wheat Bread. It's decent. It's decent bread. It does everything a bread is supposed to do. Highly recommend it. Very good, but it won't solve your problems. Miller's Wheat Bread. And we're back talking about the grocery store, which Seinfeld has already done. I just wonder, 500 years from now, will Seinfeld still be correct about everything? I mean, are they really going to be able to improve the grocery store? Well, at that point, there may not even be a grocery store. We might just, assuming we're not extinct, maybe we all get everything delivered to us. Or maybe by then, food is beamed directly into our stomachs. Who knows what could happen? Well, I also read that I'm not supposed to drink fluids while eating. I'm supposed to wait an hour before drinking anything to help with digestion. Why do I feel like I'm going to do all of this and still have irritable bowel syndrome? Why do I get the feeling that all these dietary things and these, the other thing I need to do is I need to drive out to the desert and open up my arms and run through the sands. And if I do that 2 times a week, it helps with the irritable bowel syndrome. What I need to do is I need to fly up in a helicopter and be thrown into the Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean only. Not the Atlantic Ocean, not the Pacific. The Indian Ocean. And if I do that 2 times a week, it really helps my irritable bowel syndrome when that happens. Scientists don't know exactly why irritable bowel syndrome is a thing. They think it might be a neurological disorder, or perhaps it could be an issue, some kind of issue between the brain-gut connection, the connection between the brain and the gut. And there might be some interrupted signals there that may cause the intestines to do what they need to do in a way that is not particularly acceptable. I like that. I don't know. How about that? I think we need a movie with that character and then Tom Hanks. Irritable bowel syndrome. That is not even Tom. That is nowhere near that just sounds like a Jewish man. Irritable bowel syndrome. Buzz Lightyear. That almost sounds like a weird marriage between Tom Hanks and what's the guy? Come on, Christopher Walken. There we go. That's Tom Walken. That's what that is. Buzz Lightyear. Yeah, aren't you glad you're sticking around for this? Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad you are sticking around for this, Jazz? Well, it's been about 26 minutes since I ate my sandwich. So far, so good. I'm missing my tea. I'm really missing my tea right now. I don't like this notion of no more caffeine. This really bothers me. I may have to get the caffeine back in. Maybe if things settle down a little bit, I can reintroduce the caffeine. But also, green tea is supposed to be healthy. There's a lot of health benefits to green tea. According to a lot of people, it has antioxidants, which help me not die, I think. Antioxidants, which help with everything except irritable bowel syndrome, apparently. So that's great. It helps with all the other stuff. But where's the irritable bowel syndrome antioxidant? Where is that, I ask you? America, where is that? I've watched every single episode of Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law on HBO Max, except the last episode, which there's an error. It's not playing. It's like the universe doesn't want to admit that it's over. Or it's just some weird error, and maybe it'll be fine today. We'll find out. That's probably what happened. It's probably a minor technical glitch that just needs to be fixed once they figure out gotta figure out what kind of operating system they're using, and then just go into the back end and clear out the cache. I gotta stop that. I've got to stop that. I also think, by the way, I may have deleted the other podcast that I did, because it really was horrid. I think I did delete it. I'm fairly certain I did. So that one is gone. But there was one thing I remember from that I think I can talk about here that might be a good holdover. Because I'm better today. I'm more focused today. But I was talking about how the shows I grew up with when I was a kid were shows where they made a toy line and then they built the show around the toy line. So Thundercats, He-Man, and there were times where they would introduce a new toy and they would have to shoehorn it into the narrative. Like in He-Man, there was a new toy called Stridor, a horse with wheels on the bottom of the horse, which sounds to me like the worst possible thing you could do to a horse. You take the horse is not designed to roller skate. I don't think any horse has ever done that. I don't think any horse would want to do that. That is not what you do to a horse. The character never said anything in the episode either. He just rolled in, saved He-Man, and rolled out. And that was the writers going, we don't know what to do with this. And I feel like it makes sense that the character didn't talk Because if it did talk, it would say, "Kill me. I don't need wheels on my legs. I'm not designed for this. I'm a horse. I'm not a car. Put wheels on a car, not on a horse." And I kind of miss those kinds of shows where they have to work in the toy one way or another. And you know, it doesn't matter what the toy is, they got to figure it out. And the one I came up with that I want to bring back is this bad guy. It's called Monkey Who Writes in a Diary. And this is who they needed to add to the He-Man universe because they did some focus groups and they found that a lot of kids in the focus groups had diaries. So they had to throw in Monkey Who Writes in a Diary. And He-Man is like, "Oh no, it's the monkey who writes in a diary." And the monkey says, "Dear diary, I'm now encountering He-Man, and I thought he would be more open-minded, but sees me as a threat. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know what's so scary about a monkey who gathers his thoughts every morning in a reflective sort of way. But I guess now we're going to have to do combat. I don't want to. He's not my enemy. No one is my enemy. The only one who is my enemy is myself. And I've been working really hard and making a lot of progress on making peace with myself. Prepare to do battle, monkey who writes in a diary. Dear diary." Now he wants to actually do battle. And I don't know what weapon I should use because he has a sword and I don't want to use a sword. That just seems redundant. I mean, I could use a mace, but I don't like the feel of the mace in my hand. I could use a catapult, but that just takes forever to set up. And it's also, you know, he's using a melee weapon. I feel like I should do the same thing. So, dear diary, is a sword a melee weapon? I'm pretty sure it is. I should look it up, but and He-Man's going, stop writing in your diary and let's do this. Dear diary, He-Man is very impatient, and he just won't let me finish. He won't let me express what I need to express. Dear diary. Yeah, we really think that the monkey in the diary toy, I think that's gonna save this franchise. We thought it was gonna save the franchise. It actually sunk the franchise. It did. Nobody bought the monkey. Nobody bought the diary. Nobody bought the monkey and the diary together. Dear diary, feeling very, very depressed that my monkey in a diary idea did not work. All right. Now I'm just being silly. What does all this mean? My goodness, now I am being silly. Monkey in a diary. That was mildly entertaining. So if I were to start a Patreon, what would be the additional content? What more can I do? Would it be Monkey in a Diary, the movie? An entire feature of Monkey in a Diary starring the monkey and starring 1960s structural engineer with a special guest appearance by Tom Cool. That's my mock cool voice. That's what that is. I drove in the desert. I became one with nature. And my girlfriend and I had magical sex. So that's something. Isn't that something? I think that's really something. Feeling a tremendous amount of not gratitude. I'm tired of people telling me to have gratitude. You know what helps with depression? Having gratitude. I don't think I'm... You know what? The depression is not what bothers me. The poverty, that's what bothers me. Like, I'm fine with the depression. I just want to be rich and depressed. I'm not asking for a cure to depression. I don't need happiness. I need to not worry about health insurance. Stop micromanaging my emotions. Stop micromanaging my emotions. I was also wondering if that was the reason why my irritable bowel syndrome was flaring, was because I've been feeling very emotional lately. And part of it, in order for me to let myself feel the emotions, I literally have to relax my stomach muscles so that they're not constantly in a bind. And maybe it's this constant squeezing of the stomach muscles that's causing the irritable bowel syndrome to begin with. That's entirely possible. Maybe that's why they say stress is something that really affects irritable bowel syndrome. And by they, I mean the doctors. Although I still have this theory that irritable bowel syndrome is the culmination of a bunch of doctors getting together and saying, well, we don't want to tell them we don't know. We want to sound like we know what we're talking about. So we need to come up with a term that could encompass anything. Irritable bowel syndrome. You're not dying, but you wish you were. So, yeah. Yeah, we're covering quite a lot here. There's a few sound issues in the middle of this. That happens. It flippin' happens. We've got a little bit of stand-up at the beginning of this. This podcast just has something for everyone, doesn't it? Brought to you by Vincent's Space Heaters. Do you not have central heating? Do you need to keep yourself warm in the winter? Well, our space heater will not help you. With our patented thermostatic technology, when you turn on our space heaters, the space heater itself will remain warm. You will continue to freeze. But every year, over 120 million space heaters freeze to death in the cold. Not ours. Vincent's space heater will stay warm. You won't, but it will. And it will show its thermometer at you almost in a mocking sort of way. Vincent's space heaters. I'm 99 degrees. What's your problem? Look at that. 2 imaginary sponsors. I think this podcast is taking off. Don't quote me, but I think this podcast is taking off. So that's like a cousin to the cool voice. That's my bad attempt at a 1940s radio announcer voice. This is just in. Isn't that just fantastic? Isn't Vincent's Space Heater simply a fantastic product? I absolutely love this product. I've been using Vincent's Space Heater products since the early 1930s. Back when I was the conductor of a big band in Atlantic City, with Bobby Darin. I don't think he was the 1930s, but then again, I don't know for sure. Dear Diary, please tell me that those actually, it sounds more like a 1950s spokesperson. Vincent's Space Heaters. The Colgate Comedy Hour, brought to you by Vincent's Space Heaters. Please tell me that when he keeps a diary, when he's writing out loud using that. Dear Diary, today was absolutely horrible. I realized I have a crippling addiction to cocaine. All is lost. This voice belies a cry, a weep, a barbaric yelp into the cosmos, begging for human connection that can never be found. Please tell me that happened. Mommy, where's Daddy? Dear Diary, my family is suffocating me. Oh, he's just writing his diary, honey. He'll be right out. Yeah. Well, there we go. So there's that voice. See, look at all the. This isn't just a podcast, America. This is a voiceover demo reel right here. There's this guy and this guy, Buzz Lightyear. How do you not hire this person to voice every voice on your animated show? Disney, if Disney let me loose, I would be responsible for taking it to the next level. You didn't think they could get any bigger, but they can with my amazing voices. And now here's the other thing. Now there's a part of me that's being very judgmental with what I'm doing right now, because I'm saying to myself, well, you're not really saying anything profound. You're not, this. I'm supposed to be the philosopher clown man. I'm supposed to be the one who just speaks the truth about society, speaks truth to power, and everyone is laughing at me because I'm speaking truth to power, but in a funny way, man. That's what this is supposed to be, man. Democrats, Republicans, atheists, agnostics, man. They're all, what did they know, man? What do any of them know, man? They're all just part of the big missile complex. I think it's the industrial complex, the military-industrial complex. Big missile. They're part of big missile. Big government, big tobacco, big missile. As opposed to little missile. Mom and pop military stuff. Yeah, it's a shame the military forced out all those mom and pop tank manufacturers. Tank manufacturers. There we go. Someone can speak English occasionally. Yeah, I tried not looking at social media yesterday, and then I looked at social media and I got depressed. So that's how I spend my days off. And the older generation is railing against social media. It's destroying our nation's youth. Social media. It's destroying our nation's youth. I heard an actor saying that. Destroying our nation's youth. Has done movie and television. And 2 generations earlier, movies and television are destroying our nation's youth. And before that, radio is destroying our nation's youth. And then before that, books. Books are destroying our nation's youth. And before that, cave paintings. Cave paintings. What the kids with the cave paintings, can you believe that? They're looking at something and then they're painting its likeness in the middle of a cave? What will happen to the children, I ask you? What will happen to the children? Dear Diary. Diary of a concerned cave woman. The children are painting cave paintings, and I have warned, and I'm telling you that it's going to cause a lot of problems with the next generation. They're going to be obsessed with those cave paintings, just looking at their cave paintings, not paying attention to see if the saber-toothed tiger is about to attack. All right, took a deep dive. Join me as we take... Ooh, should I try to do a Jacques Cousteau impression? I think that would be the way to close out this podcast. Because it won't be... I am Jacques Cousteau. I am French. Join me as we go to the bottom of the sea, where we will find all kinds of different... This is getting almost Germanic. Oh, man. All right, well, I'm in a silly mood today. What can you say? Maybe it was the oat nut bread. Maybe it was Miller's bread. Miller's bread. It's not responsible for making you silly. That's not at all responsible for that. But it was good bread. It's still good bread. I'm looking at, for some reason I have staples in my office. But I don't know where and there's the stapler. Okay, I was about to say I had staplers but no staple, which sounds like vintage me. Classic Josh. Staplers but no staple. They are standard staples. And the font on the word standard. Seinfeld walks in. Hey, don't you're making jokes out of nothing. That's me. Sorry, Seinfeld. All right, I'll stop. I should probably What's my vulnerability of the day? I feel like I always have to end by going deep. What's my vulnerability? What am I afraid of? What am I embarrassed about? What is my vulnerability of the day? Well, I'm afraid I still haven't got my license plates in the mail. One got stolen, so I have to get new ones. It got stolen last August, so I still have one plate with no tags on it, and I'm terrified I'm going to be pulled over, and they're going to say, "Well, what's going on?" I'm going to be like, I'm waiting for the plates. You tell me." I waited a long time before I mailed out the paperwork for the plates. I shouldn't have waited that long, but I wanted to wait until after I got the second vaccine so that I can continue to be terrified to do anything in public. And I waited until after I got the second vaccine, and then 2 weeks after, and then another 2 weeks. And then I sent it. So part of this is on me. Part of this is on me, but the other part, not on me. But I'm afraid I'm going to be punished because some person stole my license plate. Why did they do that? Why did they need to do that? Why, oh why? Will they ever be brought to justice? I doubt it. I doubt it. I sometimes wonder if a person's essence rubs off on the inanimate objects that the person deals with. I mean, that seems to be true if you're a Jedi, apparently. Didn't they make that kind of statement in the Star Wars? In the Star Wars, in The Force Awakens, she touches the lightsaber and she's seeing things that Luke saw. But I wonder if when they stole my license plate, if they got a touch of my neuroses. They're walking around going, I don't know why, but suddenly I can't digest breads. I can't have pasta anymore. It was the day I got this license plate. I smell a Stephen King novel. The license plate of lactose intolerance. Stephen King. From the mind of Stephen King. One man. One license plate. No more Italian food. Yeah, so that's worrying me, the whole license plate situation. The license plate sitch, that's a concern of mine. Well, maybe, because this episode's going to drop. That's me being cool. This episode's going to drop. New episodes drop. Episode's going to drop. I'm going to be publishing this episode on Thursday. Maybe by then I will have the license plate. Or by then I will be in jail. Or by then I'll still be bad pooping. Who knows? My friends, who knows? So I've got this weird thing where I want to do an hour podcast. I've been doing 50 minutes. And I feel okay stopping at 50 minutes. 50 minutes to me feels like I can say I'm doing an hour. But I'm not actually doing an hour, I'm doing 50 minutes. But I feel like if I tell people it's an hour and they look at it and they go 50 minutes, they're like, yeah, it's about an hour. And there's something about that just gratifies me. And I'm literally watching the clock wind up to 50 minutes. That is actually happening as we speak. All right, a minute left. What's the closer, Josh? How are we going to close this podcast? How are we going to close this podcast? Dear Diary, I still don't feel good about the podcast. This is a second attempt at a recording of this podcast. I included the monkey with the diary, and I really liked it the first time I came up with it, but then it felt a little dead today. It felt a little... And the UPS guy interrupted. He came in and he said, UPS, and I stopped the recording, because I didn't hear UPS. I just heard, ah! I thought, am I being attacked? Is this the end? And I walked out, and it was the UPS guy. And that's how I'm going to end this podcast. Ended by our office got a UPS delivery. That's the end of the podcast. How does that feel? How does that feel?